Greetings from the Northwoods of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I'm Natasha, your plant-centered lifestyle guide, and you're tuned into my weekly video where I provide tips and inspiration and food for thought for those on their plant-centered journey. As a plant-centered lifestyle guide, one of the things that I do is I help people to articulate responses to questions that they receive about their plant-centered lifestyle. And I'm sure that many of you have experienced this particular question. Well, what are we going to do with all of those animals? As if that's some kind of justification to keep breeding animals so that we can eat them. I think people just imagine that all of a sudden the entire world is going to be plant-centered, and then, oh my goodness, well, where will all these animals go? Well, that's just ridiculous, because I cannot imagine that, or I can't imagine a world where we wake up one day and everybody's plant-centered. That would be awesome, but it's probably not going to happen. It's going to be more of a gradual shift. And so just like any other market, supply and demand regulate themselves over time. What would happen is we would simply be breeding less animals for food if people are not consuming those animals for food. So it's really quite simple. That would take care of itself. If for some reason there were extra animals left over after the whole world goes plant-centered, how wonderful. We certainly want to have companion animals, and so those animals can live out their lives in designated sanctuaries or can certainly go to homesteads where people will let them live out their natural lives until they pass. That really, that argument, so to speak, really doesn't have any merit. The second one that I hear quite often is, well, what are all those farmers going to do? As if, we're going to just keep those farming jobs so that people can continue to eat animals. If we've determined that it's not good for health, it's not good for the environment, it's not good for the animals, yet we're going to keep doing it just because we've always done it. So those farmers, just like people in any other industry that changes over time, will either have to adapt their farms to new products that they're producing, like perhaps fruits and vegetables and grains, or beans or seeds, or maybe they plant nut trees. I mean, who knows? But farmers are pretty inventive, creative, hardcore people who have made some pretty amazing changes over the years already, and I think could certainly adapt to not farming animals for food. I think we are not giving farmers enough credit. I mean, you think about all these other industries. What about newspapers? There's a lot less newspapers than there ever were before, which means there's a lot less reporters than there were before. There's a lot less delivery people delivering the papers because there aren't as many papers. Every industry changes over time as the demand changes. And there's no difference for the raising of what we consider food animals or jobs related to farming. Again, people will often question you about these things because they're trying to figure out in their minds, what is this all about? That throws off their paradigm in their world, and it's very difficult for them to imagine what that would look like. And sometimes they want to trip you up, so to speak, catch you and say, see, there'd be no way that would actually work. But that is just fear talking inside of them. And it's also, it could be their way of life. They might be that farmer, or they might be dependent on some type of industry that is related to animal agriculture. But just realize that when people ask those questions, sometimes it may be an innocent question that they really are like, wow, I've never really thought about that. Or it might be someone defending their core beliefs or their way of life. Either way, you can use the information that I just provided you to say that you are pretty confident that the world will indeed go on if we do not eat animals or animal products. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and I would love to see you have a great week. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.